I look at this as, with the Ten of Cups being the overall, a situation that may have been really good, but I think that a lot of things have changed, and the focus needs to be on, for you, what that overall happiness is going to look like. For them, I think they are causing a lot of problems. And I don't know how else to put that, but for you, it's like you're not settling for anything less than absolute happiness, and I don't really think that it's about trying to fix what has happened here. But I look at this and I think they're not... I wonder if they're either, emotionally immature, or if they're not really being true to themselves in the way that they feel. So, death coming in. For you, this is a situation that has definitely changed in a big way for you. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry guys. But it's because of the Five of Swords on their side. So, this is them causing arguments, causing fighting. Now they may be looking at you and thinking that you have said some things that you shouldn't have said, but I don't know. I think that they're regretting what they have done. I look at the Five of Swords and I think that you're dealing with somebody who is saying things because they can, because they want you to do what they are wanting you to do. They want to keep you in the spot that they want you in. But is that really what is going to bring you overall happiness here? And I think at one point, the both of you may have been like really good together, that could have been the potential. But really, it's about not settling for anything that's going to cause any more disruptions here. But again, death is the ending of a situation here, an ending of a way of being, and things changing big time for you. For the Chariot coming out after that, this could definitely be about you moving away or moving on. And with them, like I said, with the Nine of Swords, I think that they're kind of replaying this like argument or what they have said over and over again in their mind. And there may be some fear and regret as to what they have done because you have moved on. And then, for you with the Chariot, though, I literally think for you, it was a good thing that this happened, because now you have a better sense of, direction moving forward in your relationships. But I look at that, though, with the Ten of Cups, and I think for you, it's an opportunity for you to move on to something that is going to make you happier in the long run. They, though, may not be understanding this or seeing it that way, but what they wanted may have been this overall happiness, but what they did was the one that disrupted this, or what caused the disruption. My God, if I could talk right and spit this shit out. I'm so sorry. I can't communicate like a Gemini does. God damn it. Anyway, moving into the Wheel of Fortune. This with the Three of Swords is basically saying, I'm not going to go through this again. For them, it's like they're heartbroken over the fact that, you're moving on. They did something stupid, said something stupid. But for you, it's like, I'm not going to repeat this. But then at the same time, though, coming out with the Seven of Cups, this is... how do we even get back to this place again if this is, another opportunity coming back around? I don't think that you see it. And I think that, they're really, really hurt over what they did. But then also they may be looking for your forgiveness, but they may not be getting it, which is continuing the heartbreak for them. And really, it's about, for them, not seeing the offer that they want. For you, it's, I'm not settling for anything less than this. But with the Page of Cups, we're definitely talking about, somebody who is immature. They're immature in the way that they communicate, the way that they act, the choices that they make. But then we're also talking about the communication of emotions and them like wanting to express that to you. But I don't know that it's enough. Because with the Seven of Cups, it's like you don't realistically see how there's a way to get to, this Ten of Cups with them again. That could have been the potential, but it was because of them and their own actions. And that's what I feel like looking at this. and you may literally be at a distance from this person, but it's because you chose to move away or move on. And then the Two of Wands. But the thing is, though, is that they're not really taking the necessary action because they have to take into consideration, how much work they're going to have to put in. And it may be one of those things where emotionally, like I said, immature, they didn't think about this. They didn't really think about what they have done. They play it over and over again in their mind, absolutely. And I think that there's definitely some fear over the fact that, things are changing for you and you're moving on. But I don't think that they're wanting to let go of you though either, but they're not doing anything. That's my problem. And the way that I see this is because of the Eight of Pentacles. So first of all, the Ace of Pentacles, you though definitely have other opportunities you could pursue. And I do think that for you, you don't really see how this can realistically go to a place of overall happiness. You can see how good it can be, but there are also other things that you can accept here that are going to bring you, what you're wanting here. Now, as far as the Ace of Pentacles, that's kind of where you're like, okay, maybe, but it's like they're wanting you to kind of reevaluate things, but then they also, I think, are not really looking at there not being any more room for growth unless they're willing to do something here. For you, it's like, okay, if it's going to be a new beginning, it has to be realistic, and you have to realistically look at, where you were not providing for me, where, you need to do something here to continue the growth, because I do think it's their responsibility here. And that's just me being honest looking at this. The Six of Swords. They are also wanting you to move on from what has happened. That, or, we're talking about them needing to kind of like give up and move on here. And with the Ace of Cups, like I said, this is either about different opportunities that you have available to you to bring you this happiness. But in order for you to consider a realistic beginning and one that's going to make you emotionally happy, there are some things that, need to be moved on from. But I kind of look at this as them being naive here and not understanding where you're coming from emotionally, because it's only based on the things that they're feeling right now. That's kind of how I look at the Page of Cups. They're definitely communicating to you, but the way that they're doing it is from a place of, I want you to relook at this and move on from what I've done. But for you, that's not good enough, because with the Eight of Pentacles here, we're talking about some really hard work they're going to have to put through. You realize this. It's going to be a lot of hard work to kind of get past this, and you're not going to settle for anything less. They're not happy with that, but they're still not acting, and that's my problem. With the Two of Wands, it's almost like, okay, so I have to do a lot of work, but what about you? We're going to have to do this together. But the thing is they are the ones that need to, show accountability for their actions. Because, this is cause and effect. I mean, what do you expect here? And that's how I'm kind of seeing them. They took a happy situation and made it difficult where it didn't need to be. For you, it was like, oh, now I see your personality. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm moving on. They're playing that over and over again in their head. But like I said, for you, it's like, I'm not going to go around again if it's not going to bring me exactly what I want. And what I want is long-lasting happiness, And you realize that they're going to have to do a lot of hard work. But with that Two of Wands, it's like wanting to act, but not really acting, And I don't doubt that there's a lot of feelings there, but I don't think that they're coming from a place where they're considering your emotions, though. And that's the problem. And I think that for you, you may have given them plenty of opportunities to do what was right. And then the Seven of Cups. Wow. Okay, so there's definitely an attraction here to somebody who is not making a commitment here. Oh, the Hierophant, though, with the Page of Swords, that's a little bit rough. The Page of Swords, you're definitely talking about somebody who is, putting themselves in a situation where they don't belong, literally being of somebody's ass here, stalking somebody, you know, keeping their eye on somebody here, wanting to get somebody's attention. The problem is that you may be dealing with a person who actually entertained this. You know, because I look at this as somebody not, you know, giving you the commitment because of the way that you kind of move out. But it's also about somebody who's like still focused somewhere else. Now, this could definitely be you. You may be focused on something else and, you know, you're not kind of getting the commitment that you want. But with the Six of Swords, right, this is a failure in trying to close the gap between you and another person, because with the Ten of Swords, absolutely, it's over with in a very difficult way, painful way. And it may be because, you know, like I said, you're dealing with somebody who is like, it's not the lovers though. It's almost like dealing with somebody who thinks that, you know, they can have you and have something else though too. But that's because there is attention or obsession somewhere else. You know, you may have been like trying to get them to, you know, come to you, or, you know, like I said, like bridging the gap, bridging the distance here with the Six of Swords. That's kind of how I see that. But with the Ten of Swords, it's like, no, it's a failure here. But there's still this attraction. And with Temperance, it's like, you know, you're trying to get things going with this person here, but it's just based on fantasy with the Seven of Cups. This I don't like though. And then with the Queen of Pentacles, I think that this is you realizing that you don't really need this situation, or you're realizing that, you know, this person is more interested in pleasing themselves and not really, you know, pleasing you. Unfortunately, there's a strong attraction to this situation, this person. The Hermit. The Hermit here is, you know, being... You're not together. You're not together. My question immediately then becomes, when was the last time you actually had contact with this person? But, you know, what you're wanting or what you are envisioning in terms of a relationship just isn't happening specifically with this person. But like I said, it could be because they're focused somewhere else, or because, you know, they're entertaining the possibility of somebody else who's focused on them. You know, but then again, you may be dealing with somebody who is like stalking you, but what they are bringing to you just isn't what you wanted, but you're on your own here. Like, I don't think that you're together at all. Now with the Four of Swords, again, it's a failure. The connection can't be made. I think that there is an attempt here with the Six of Swords, but with the Ten of Swords, it ends before it even starts. You can't force yourself to feel something. They can't do it either. But then, like I said, coming out, you know, unfortunately, it's like realizing that you don't need this. You can, you know, take care of yourself, please yourself, but then also realizing that that's the kind of person you may be dealing with, male or female, earth sign, doesn't matter here. And then the Ten of Pentacles, this is really about you needing to look at, you know, how you see yourself in this relationship. This is a relationship that I think that some of you are struggling on whether or not to give it a chance, because they're not acting in the way that I think that you envision your soulmate as acting. And here it's you needing to get clear, I think, on the way that you visualize this person. You know, but are you still willing, though, to give it a chance, even though the things are falling into the same patterns, same routines? The Empress and the Nine of Pentacles. So with the Empress here, you know, I look at this and I think that for a lot of you at some point here, this was, you know, one of those relationships that made you feel really good, right? Like I see the abundance here with the Empress. I don't think that this is about temptation, but you may be dealing with somebody who is constantly like intentionally or unintentionally tempting other people. You know, but in terms of you, though, this is you feeling really good. With the Nine of Cups, you're talking about a really good connection. A really, really happy, good connection. The problem is you move into this place where somebody feels like they're not getting the attention that they want. And they're trying to get it, but it's not working. Looking at the Four of Pentacles, this is somebody who is wanting more passion in the relationship here, but they need to try harder. But definitely with the Six of Pentacles, somebody isn't feeling it. Somebody's not getting the attention that they want. Things are falling into the same pattern, the same routine. With the Ten of Pentacles, you're talking about what would, be otherwise a very abundant relationship. The other thing here is it is about self-reflection. That's what they were trying to point out with this. So it is about you needing to look at yourself in the long run as far as this relationship goes. Will it stand the test of time? Are you the person that you envisioned yourself to be in this relationship? Or are you bored and disinterested and not happy because things are just same old, same old? But at one point, and somebody is bitter about it. All right. Now, here is what I'm going to say with this. If this is your relationship and your situation, do you want to work on this partnership? Or is this not what you had expected in terms of, how you've seen a soulmate connection? Or is this a soulmate connection here and you need to kind of give it a chance because what you visualized, it will, be possible here. But right now, at least for September here, things are going to get a little bit difficult. The Queen of Swords, I really feel like this is you. I feel like you come into this feeling a really good connection, but you're dealing with somebody who just is not, kind of like keeping up their end of the deal. I look at you as almost being the bitter one here, right? And being focused on a partner who is doing, something wrong and hurting you in some way. And you're getting a little bit cold here, but then at the same time, it's like you're either trying or they're trying to, get things back to where they were. But they're being lazy. The Seven of Pentacles is just laziness, not putting in the effort here. So it's no wonder why it's not working with, the Four of Pentacles being there. But when you're looking at the Page of Pentacles, you're talking about bitterness, the souring of a relationship, somebody becoming bitter. And that is not you. That is not who you are. When you're looking at the Ten of Pentacles, again, it's about, is this really how you saw yourself in this relationship? Somebody here really needs to get off their ass and start doing what's right here and stop half-assing it. They need to start putting in a little bit more effort. And maybe they need to stop being so focused on themselves. Because otherwise there is a really good connection here, but it's like they're almost not like taking you into consideration, them, but I really feel like it's about them doing something, stupid here, becoming lazy, not putting forth the effort, and then things are just same old, right? But you need to be careful about being a little bit too bitter, and if you really feel that way, then maybe it's time to take a look at the relationship, is it worth giving a chance, right? And I'm just saying,